Hey everyone. Yeah, I figured I'd do this while I've got the chance. And you know, being a fan, and being a fan of the comics since it came out in 1993, late 92, mostly 93, and um, being a subscriber since about issue 72. I've seen I've seen a lot of good stories and some ideas that were used for story arcs and stuff that have been good. And I've also seen some story ideas and story arcs that have been bad. Um, but if I'm going to be honest, I know I said a lot about, understanding why they went this route, why they did it. Um, but I think when one comes to take time to think about it, despite all the good intentions and stuff that the writing staff may have had, I don't think um, having Sally get roboticized and turning her into a weaponized version of I mean, basically having Sally roboticized into Mecha Sally and then having her weaponized and becoming the weaponized Mecha Sally wasn't wasn't the best idea. I mean, like I've said before in other videos and through other means, like Dragon Natural Speaking and stuff. I just feel that here was something that if you were going to execute it, you needed to execute it in a manner that had a decent payoff. And I know a lot of people have argued this before, but to me, it's just something that when you look at this from a standpoint now, just looking back, I mean, I know it's only been almost 4 years. It's hard to believe. It's almost been four, actually, no, actually not four, but 5 years. Not 5 years, but 4 years. It's been quite a while. I mean, heck, when you take a look at it, it's actually been, as far as Ian's run as the head writer, Ian's been going for, if you don't look at it from an issue standpoint, he's been going essentially for almost 110 months. He's going to be hitting 110 months in the next 2 months with 270. So he's been going for quite some time, and that's a lot of years when you consider. I think it's almost going to be a decade for him next year. Um, but like I said, when you take a look at the whole Mecha Sally concept, again, on paper maybe it might have been a good idea, but executing it, there should have been a lot more done, you know, and there should have been a lot more planning to make sure it was properly executed. I mean, I can understand, you know, Ian Flynn and several of the other staff at Archie Comics coming out and saying that they had no idea that the whole legal situation behind the scenes with Ken Penders and Archie Comics was going to go down the way it did and cause a lot of the stories to be re-edited, rewrote, and basically cause the entire Sonic Archie comic universe to be softly retconned and softly rebooted. So, you know, one could understand and maybe believe that, but on the other hand, you you have a story here again that even despite that, you should have been able to still try to continue in some way. Um, I mean, I know I've said this before. Uh, I've talked about this before, but if you knew something was going to go down, or if you had had any indication, heard any kind of rumor, or heard any kind of talk or gossip that something was going down behind the scenes, and that it might affect what you're currently doing, wouldn't you want to know what's up? Wouldn't you want to know what's going on so you could properly plan ahead? Maybe make an announcement saying, hey, what we originally planned is going to change a little bit, and that, oh, by the way, this character that was originally supposed to be in it is not going to be in it now, so that fans wouldn't, come out and backlash on it. Don't you think that would have probably been the more proper idea, proper thing to do? Don't you think that? I do, but that's just my opinion. But again, when one looks back on it, despite it having good intentions, it just wasn't really a good idea in the first place. I mean, the potential was there, but it wasn't executed. I mean, I know I went on record when this all first happened. I said I wasn't going to read the issues until she was restored, and I lived up to my word. I lived up to it. I read the issues. I took all the issues that I had gotten in the mail. You saw it. You could see it here on my channel. I didn't, I basically opened up every issue and I looked at every issue. And the potential was there. It just wasn't properly executed. You know, I look at I look at a place like DeviantArt and people like Ace of Speed and several others would do artwork of Sally as the weaponized version of Mecha Sally. And they would come up with concepts that, to me, could have really been utilized and helped the story progress. I mean, when you think about it, here you are, you have this opportunity, you're taking a main character, a very beloved character that I guess you could say would get a huge pop for nostalgia reasons, if not for fandom reasons, if she was ever announced to be put in a game. I mean, if you were to go to San Diego Comic-Con or E3, and they made the announcement that, oh, by the way, Sally Acorn is going to be in the next Sonic game, of course she's going to get a huge pop, no matter what. And so if you have the idea and the intentions to turn this character, that very character, into a villain or villainess, even through uh, means that are not their own, then you should take full advantage of it. Don't just make them into another mindless weaponized robot. Make them part of a metal series, as Eggman put it in one issue of Universe. No, you take full advantage of it. You say, okay, what's the potential we could go with this? How can we ride this out? What can make this more intriguing, get people talking, even if they don't like the concept? And again, like I said, I go back to what Ace of Speed drew. He drew a picture, and I think I've talked about this before, where this had the potential to be part of this arc, maybe part of the finale. He basically drew a picture that was referenced or inspired by the ending, the final boss battle of Sonic Heroes. Basically, he took that concept of Metal Sonic becoming like this ultimate dragon-like version of himself, metal dragon version of himself, and he applied that to Mecha Sally, and basically, in a sense, kind of stated that that this could be the area they go in. This could be the direction they head in with her. And there were many other fans out there that came up with decent ideas. I mean, if you want to if you want to do something that's going to redeem this character in the eyes of many fans that have basically crapped on her countless times, then going in this direction would work. But potentially, it would get people behind the character even after she got restored. But again, the potential of that being there was not executed. And this is why, to me, the Mecha Sally story arc is always going to be one of the more controversial story arcs that Ian Flynn or any writer has ever created. Because the potential was there for it to be more than what it was. And I know Ian has come out and said, hey, I'm going to let you know what was originally planned in my Lost Hitchhik Tales book or column or whatever. But let me ask you this, Ian. Let me ask you this. Where is that? I know and understand you've been busy with Crusaders and Universe and Mega, Mega Man, as well as the main comic. I get that. But now that you have other people writing these books and helping you along, that kind of frees up your time. So there's no excuse to not finish this up. And kind of let us know what your original plan was for Sally in her mecha form. But again, like I said, overall, when one thinks about it, one looks back on it, that you have to admit, and this is just my opinion, but you have to admit when one looks back on it and really thinks about it, the Mecha Sally story arc was not a good idea. I mean, the potential was there, it just was not executed. Thus, it just was not a good idea to do at the time. Now, I know some of you might say, well, Brian, you're saying that because you didn't like the story arc. Look, I've been honest with you guys. I never liked the fact that they roboticized and weaponized Sally. I never did. Because to me, that wasn't Sally. You know, Sally wouldn't say the things that she was saying in that form. And you guys know that to be true. The fact is, I've come out and I've said, I've come out video after video, text after text, and I have said, I understand. I know why they did it. But just because I understand and know why they did it and went in that direction, doesn't mean I necessarily look at it as being a good idea to be executed at that time, because honestly, it wasn't. I mean, like I said, so much potential was there, but that potential wasn't executed. I mean, all you basically made Sally into was just another mindless robot warrior for Eggman. That was it. And then you go as far as to do in a universe issue, in a panel, declaring her as part of Team Metal series. I mean, what's the point if you're not going to have potential for that? What's the point if you're not going to execute a potentialness with this arc, with the character in the state that she was in? What's the point of doing a story if you're not going to be able to execute it behind the scenes situations or not? What's the point? There is none. Thus making it a bad idea to execute at the time. Again, like I said, and I'm not going to lie here. I understand why they did this. I understand and in sort of respect why they did this, but still, just because I understand why they did this and why they did this and the way they did this and sort of kind of respect it, it doesn't mean doesn't mean I'm going to come out here and say it was a good idea, because it wasn't, especially at the time it was executed. It just wasn't a good idea. Because where is the payout? Where is the payout to it? There was none. And I know some fans will probably agree and say, yeah, that's true. What's the payout going to be? Her finally confronting Eggman and beating the crap out of him in this new world, in this new continuity? We don't know. All I know is, honestly, it just was not a good idea at the time to execute. The potential to go in several directions with the story arc and her in this situation, especially with Sally in this situation, was there, just wasn't executed. And to me, it just overall was not a good idea to do at the time. I know some of you may disagree, and that's fine. That's your opinion. You have the right to do that. And I know some of you may agree. But it's just something I had to talk about. Because like I said, potential was there, it just wasn't executed. Thus, in a sense, just wasn't a good idea to execute at the time it was done.